Ocean Beach doesn't look like much on paper. It's a small seaside attraction with a paper ride system and more of a travelling fair atmosphere than a theme park. But I spent the day there and I had a lot of fun, so let's go through the ride lineup and see what should be kept and what should be scrapped. Right, let's start with Space, which is kind of like a gyro swing type thing. Very much the travelling fair variety. It's a smaller one. Didn't look like much. I think it's deceptive because I was like looking at it going, small gyro swing on the back of a lorry. This will be okay. I really enjoyed it. I can't remember if I went on it before or after the Waltzers, but I certainly came off feeling like I'd been spun around. So yeah, great way to start, and I'll chuck it in the keep pile. Right, next up we have got Super Trooper, which visually is exactly the same as Funk and Fly at Alton Towers. It's a standard model, but I mean, the lighting package and colour scheme was the same. Don't know if it is the one that was at Towers or just a lookalike. But here's the thing. A lot of the rides here, because it's kind of an amusement park travelling fair style, they're either run in manual mode or at least with a rather long, impressive cycle. I can't say the same for this. This was reasonably tame and a bit of a letdown, so I'm not going to get rid of it, but I am going to put it in take it or leave it. Right, the park has a number of creds, and the first one is the obligatory Wacky Worm. Now, it's known as Apple Coaster. There's nothing special about it. It is exactly the same as every other Wacky Worm out there. But again, I mean, I did it because, you know, a cred is a cred. I'll not need to do it again. But the thing is, I like these kind of rides because they are a great first coaster for so many children. So, despite the fact I will never go on it again, I'm still going to keep it. Right, one of the rides that I said earlier about the ride cycles, and one of them that definitely had this, was their breakdance. Imaginatively known as breakdance. There's a few rides like this. It was a really impressive cycle. Very, very long, very, very forceful, just a load of fun. And the thing is, as I think I've said already, the vibe in this place, like, I said it in my vlog, it reminds me very much of my youth, right? I used to live in the high-rise flats in Edinburgh, in the massive field outside where I lived. The travelling fair would come once a year, and so I'd be there pretty much every night. And that kind of banging the music and all the rides going around, I just love that vibe. I just absolutely love it. And this ride had the kind of the amped up tunes. It was a decent cycle. It was just a lot of fun. So yeah, this one's definitely getting kept. Right, another one that had a reasonably good cycle was their Matterhorn. Now, you know, it's the usual one. I mean, I think that's the ride name, ride type. Swinging out sort of seats and stuff. I can't remember if this one had the canopy that comes over. I know some of them do. I've done quite a few of them lately, so I can't remember exactly which one this was. But I'll put some footage in them. You'll find out if it did or didn't. It was still a lot of fun, whether it had the canopy or not. I think possibly to the point where I was like, okay, enough's enough. Like, the one problem with long cycles or manual cycles is there's a tipping point where you go, I've had enough of this ride now. Please stop. It kind of got close to that. Nonetheless, I still enjoyed it, and I'll put it in the keep pile. And next up, we have a ride type that you all know that I enjoy, and that is their Wave Swinger. Called Wave Swinger. Man, their marketing team are on point. Right, there's nothing special about it. It is exactly what it says in the tin. It's a standard Wave Swinger. Now, sometimes you can go on these and kind of get your bearings of the park as you whiz around. I think I went on it towards the end of the day, so I sort of knew the layout and where everything was. I enjoyed it. Nothing special. I just like these kind of rides, so it's getting kept as well. Right, sticking with the obvious ride names, we have Pirate Ship. Bet you can't guess what that is. Here's the thing though, I was underwhelmed. I was very much underwhelmed by this one. Now, I don't know if it's running a sort of more tame cycle because it's old and falling apart. I don't mean literally falling apart, like I'm sure it's perfectly safe. But I don't know if it's old and struggling and therefore running a low cycle, or if it's like we're aiming this more at the younger kids, therefore we're just going to run it in a slightly less extreme mode. I found it very disappointing, and I hate to say it, but I would scrap it. Right, the second credit that they have is Speedy Coaster, or Speedy Coaster. Yeah. Sort of Speedy Gonzales type motif in the front of the train, multi-lap special. It's that kind of mid-tier, so it's kind of above the Wacky Worm, but it's definitely not a thrill coaster, so it's kind of the next step up for the kids. And again, I mean, it might be one that I would do again. Probably not, but I might go on it again, and nonetheless, because of that kind of step up for the younger audience, it's also getting kept. Now the next one really caught me off guard, and that is their Waltzers. So I saw them, and I walked past, and I said in the video, "Go to the Waltzers," because to be honest, they look a little bit tame. Now I don't know if they heard me, or if they just went, "There's a bloke with a camera, let's pick on him," because my god, they spun the hell out of me. Like, it was so much fun. I was giggling, I was laughing, I was getting close to being green at the gills. Like, it was pretty extreme. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm pretty sure I struggled to stand up when I got off it. Definitely getting chucked in the keep pile. Right, they got a ride called Twist, which is the Twister / Sizzler style of attraction. Pretty sure off the top of my head, it's kind of like one of the older models. Like, you could tell just by looking at it, it looked like not the modern version, shall we say. It was alright. It wasn't the most extreme. This is another one of these ones, though, where it's much more enjoyable when you're on it with friends and family. Like, I was visiting the park on my own, and obviously these can hold usually 3 people in a car, and of course the person on the outside gets absolutely squashed by the others. Well, there's no fun in that when you're on your own. You're squashing yourself. So, yeah, that might have played into this, but I think I would put this one in take it or leave it. Right, one final cred in the park, and that is spinning coaster. Now, I've done quite a lot of these lately, sort of spinning wild mice, and there's various different manufacturers, Fabry, Revachon, and a few others. Some of them, when they leave the station, the car is locked until it's done the first few switchbacks, done the drop, and then the car is released, and you free spin for the second half. Others, like this one, is free spinning from the second you leave the station. So I went up that lift hill at some crazy angles, and I spun a lot. I'm pretty sure I tried to do the outro for the video in there, and it was hilarious. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this. I'm pretty sure this is the only ride I did twice. It is definitely going in the keep pile. Right, so the park's got a ghost train known as Zombie, and it was a bit of a disappointment. So, it's a single layer ghost train. It wasn't the kind of pretzel up and down sort of thing. It gave me the impression there was going to be a jump scare. Like, it was kind of that eerily quiet sort of thing. If there was audio, it was very hard to hear. I'm pretty sure it was silent. There were some reasonable bits with some lighting and some kind of moving props and, I don't want to say animatronics, because they're not really, but moving people, shall we say. But it felt like there was going to be something, and there wasn't. And then I left, and I was like, oh, is that it? Now, again, there were some young kids going on this before and after me, so I don't know if they tailor it to that audience, as in it's always tame, if they look at it and go, oh, right, we better calm down because there's kids on the ride. It just felt like it needed a bit more, even if it was just a soundtrack, or the speakers turned up if there is a soundtrack, because I couldn't hear it. So I'll chuck this one and take it or leave it. Right, now there's a ton of attractions I did not experience. As always, loads of kids' things that I ain't going to fit on or shouldn't go on, so I didn't. But the other problem is, because it is the kind of paper ride option, I ran out of tokens. I spent 50 quid, which is a reasonable amount of money. I mean, you can get into major theme parks for 30, 40 quid. So I thought 50 quid, that'll do me. There's a few things I couldn't get on. Now, I did say I went on the spin coaster twice. I could have traded that for another ride for sure. They've got the kind of frog hopper, crazy jump thing. Can't speak to it, didn't do it. They have a Miami, again, didn't do it. They've also got dodgems. Now, I didn't do these, but I did want to call them out because one of the things I liked about this is that you pay per car, not per person. Obviously, dodgems, you can have 2 people in a car or you can drive solo, but irrespective, you pay the same amount in tokens. So if it's 2 siblings going on it, or 2 friends, or father and son, or whatever it is, you're only paying for 1 car. I thought that was quite cool and definitely worth mentioning. Again, I might have done it if I'd had friends or family with me. I like the dodgems, but it's more enjoyable when you're bashing into people you know than some random strangers. So I didn't do them on my visit, but just thought I'd point that one out. Right, so there's my review of the park, and obviously the ride lineup does change a little bit seasonally and you know, throughout the year, etc. So potentially you'll have experienced different, or you might not see some of these rides when you visit. But if you have been, I'd love to know your thoughts on what should be kept and what should be scrapped, including any attractions that have been there in the past. As always, if you've enjoyed this one, hit that like button and do subscribe. I've been Chris, you've been watching Coaster Dad, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios. It's a small seaside attraction with more of a and more of a travelling fair vibe than an amusement park. Nope. Travelling fair vibe than an amusement. But it's a small attraction, no. And more of a travelling fair. That wasn't true for this Starflight.